everybody. Today we're going to talk about solving two-step equations, and so this goes with the learning goal. I can solve two-step equations and write and use two-step equations to solve problems. So here's our first example. I'm going to go through one and let you do one on your own, and then we'll do a couple word problems together. So if I see the equation 125 plus 3b equals 154.97, I want to go through 4 steps to solve this equation. First, you need to copy down the original equation. Then I'm going to work, I do follow order of operations when I'm solving two-step equations or any type of equations, but we follow our order of operations backwards because when we're solving equations, we're undoing, and so we do things backwards. If you think of it as PEMDAS backwards, that would be like SAD-MEP. And so we start with subtraction or addition, and then we do multiplication or division, so working backwards. So we're going to write the original equation, and then I'm going to first undo any addition or subtraction that's happening in my equation. I can see that 125 is being added to 3b, and so I'm going to undo that addition first. And so to undo addition, I'm going to do the inverse operation is the actual term. And so the inverse of adding is subtracting. And so I'm going to subtract 125. And I'm going to do that to both sides of my equation, just like we've talked about before. This keeps the equation balanced. And we always have to do the same thing to both sides of the equal sign when we're solving equations. So 125 minus 125 gives me 0, which is good because when I add 0 to 3b, I'm left with just 3b. So if I'm truly writing out all these steps, I would include 0 plus 3b, and then I figure out my subtraction over here. So we end up with 0 plus 3b equals 29.97, and 0 plus 3b is the same as 3b. So a lot of times we don't write in the 0 plus 3b, but it might be helpful for you to do that in the beginning just so you don't get confused. Now I see that my third step is to undo multiplication or division. So again, I'm going to do the inverse operation, the inverse. So I need to check out what's happening to my variable. I can see that my variable b is being multiplied by 3. So in order to undo that, I'm going to do the inverse of multiplying. So I'm going to divide. And when we're in algebra now, we are going to show division using a fraction bar. So here, I have 3 divided by 3 on the left-hand side of my equation. And any number divided by itself is 1. So I get 1 times b, which is just b, so I'm just going to write b. And a lot of times we show that we've gotten rid of the 3's by canceling them out like that. You could do that as well. And then on the left or the right-hand side, I need to divide by 3. So I would end up with b equals 9.99. And notice that my fourth step is to write the solution as whatever my variable is equals whatever I got when I was solving my equation. We want to make it clear that your solution, and solution means a number that I can put in for the variable that makes the statement true. So when I put 9.99 in for the variable, that's going to make that equation true. And so I want to write that as my variable equals that number. Okay, so here is a second equation, a second two-step equation. Why don't you go ahead, pause the video, try to figure this equation out, and then when you are done, you can unpause it and see if you got the same thing that I did. All right, I went ahead and solved that, and I got g equals negative 8.7. So hopefully that's what you got too. If you didn't, you might want to check that you follow the correct integer operations. Here's an example of a word problem that you might see. Suppose you buy a slice of pizza for $1.50. You also split the cost of renting a video with 2 friends. Your total cost is $2.75. What equation could you use to find the cost of renting a video? And when you're writing an equation, it's important to make sure that you're actually writing something that you can solve. And so it represents the situation better than something that's going to show all the opposite operations. So I know that I spent $1.50 plus I rented a video, and that cost was divided among 2 friends plus me. So it was divided 3 ways. And that cost of those things then equaled up to be $2.75. So now I'm going to go through the same steps again. I'm going to first undo addition or subtraction. So I can see that $1.50 is being added on to the left side of the equation, so I'm going to undo that by subtracting using the inverse operation of addition. And so over here on the left hand side, I'm just going to end up with V over 3 because $1.50 minus $1.50 is 0. And on the right hand side, I end up with $1.25. So I know that I had the original cost of the video divided up by 3, and that was $1.25. So now I'm again going to do the inverse operation of dividing by 3, and that would be multiplying by 3. And so again, if I have 3 times something over 3, those two 3's are going to cancel each other out, and I'm left with just V. And then over on this side, I'm going to multiply by 3 as well, and I can see that the cost of the video would be $3.75. So here's another example that you can do on your own. The problem says to make a long distance call, it costs 50 cents per call and 85 cents per minute. So they're charging you 50 cents just for making the call, and then an additional 85 cents for each minute after that. You make a long distance call that costs $3.90. Write and solve an equation to find the length of the call. So this kind of goes back to the ancient days when we used to have to pay for long distance before a cell phone. Go ahead and write the equation, then unpause the video and see if you have the same equation that I do, and then you can solve it after that. So here's the equation that I got. 0.50 plus 0.85 m equals 3.90. So go ahead and pause the video again and try and solve that equation. So you can see I first subtracted and then divided, and I ended up with that it would be the cost of a 4-minute call. And the answer to the free response question today is Oh Susanna. That's my son's favorite song to listen to every night before he goes to bed. And here are your free response and multiple choice questions. So go ahead and pause the video now and answer those 2 questions. Thanks, and have a great day.